Welcome to the Timescales Interviews. I'm Grego, your host. Today I have a very special guest, the artist, singer, songwriter, and more, the extraordinary Louis Vann Johnson. Hi, Louis. How are you today?
I'm good, Greg. How are you?
Doing good, thank you. So this interview is being recorded in California and the United Kingdom, and it's also being live streamed on Instagram. So this
Yeah,
is the first interview I've done that's being live streamed. So how is everything there today?
yeah, it's cool. We had good weather today, actually. It was really nice and sunny. It was like a proper summer's day. So yeah, it was
Yeah.
nice. I dressed a little bit too warm and got a bit hot while, but no, it's cool. Hey guys, people are joining on Instagram. Yeah, you can give them a wave
Hi,
there.
everybody. Hello from Grego with Timescales. So are you in London?
Yes, I'm in like Southeast London.
Okay. All right. Now, let's get started off with you. That way, the watchers and listeners can learn a little bit about who you are.
Yeah.
What is an average day in life like for you?
Ooh, okay, so it varies, right? But it consists of like the same sorts of things. So obviously I'm a musician, so it can vary from recording a song to writing to teaching privately, to collaborating with another artist, to, well, I'm not doing so much live stuff now, but doing like a live show, a live performance, or just basically planning things for social media as well, or just doing production work for other artists. So it's a kind of a mixed bag. And also I have other things that I do outside of music that, will be part of that day as well. So yeah, it's a full-on thing. If you do music and you're independent, you have to, it could be film stuff that I'm working on as well. So it kind of could be anything musically, but it just depends on really what projects are taking priority at the moment. And yeah, so it's like if there's film stuff going on, then it will be a lot of that. And then if there is like my own stuff, like I'm recording stuff, then I'll be writing and producing and working with producers. It'll be that. And then some days it might be calm and it might just be like lessons and like doing like the private lessons with people, or it might be sessions with other artists and working on their stuff. Usually it's just a mix of everything,
Okay.
which is fun, and it keeps it very interesting. It keeps me on the go quite a lot.
Okay. So it's highly dependent on what's going on at the time.
Yes, yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And you said that you're a teacher, you do private lessons?
Yeah, so I've done that since I was like 17, 18 years old. So it's like, oh God, it's like half my life. Yeah. And it's weird to think that. So after I left college, I started doing a little bit while I was in college, just doing, like after school clubs and helping like the kids out with like music stuff. And then I got into teaching guitar. And then from that, it expanded into vocals or bass guitar, then songwriting, music production. I've had a chance to work with some really talented people, and I get a lot from it. I learn a lot from them, as well as
Okay.
learning from me. So yeah, I've been doing that for a while now. um,
Okay.
and it was, again, like I toured. When was it? About 10. I did some touring like in 2010, 2011, 2012. So I stopped teaching around that time for a bit and then picked it up again after that. But yeah, it's a wonderful thing to have a passion and then see young people having the same passion and share it with them, and help them develop their skills, and then see them actually go on to like performing and doing really well for themselves.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, a little bit more about you. Do you have any secret hobbies that very few people know about, like maybe skydiving or stamp collecting, anything like
Yeah,
that?
I'm a secret agent. No,
Your
no,
secret agent?
no. Yeah. So actually, I've practiced martial arts for some years since I was about 19. And so I do that like as often as I can, and that's really a part of like lifestyle. And to be honest, it really helps me with. I mean, I say it's a secret for those that don't really know me so much, or maybe only know me through social media. But for the people that really know me, they know I never shut up about it. So I'm always talking about it, and it is a massive influence, and I see it connects with music a lot as well, because it's very much principle based, and it helps me kind of guide my way through the things that I'm doing, make decisions, and even like develop musically as well.
Okay.
Pay attention to yourself and what's going on. So there's a lot of philosophy behind it, but I like it because you embody philosophy, and then you learn from it and you grow. And I can then also use those lessons and pass them on to students as well.
Okay. Okay. So it's not a top secret, but it is one that people that you know are aware of.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of there's another. I mean, not really. I'm pretty much like, yeah. You'll probably see me doing like, if you caught me like on a gig backstage or something, you'd see me like in my hands are in doing something, or like I'm just doing something, messing around. So,
Okay. Okay.
yeah.
Well, I want to thank you very much because I've been enjoying your music for a lot for the last month.
Oh,
And
thank you.
yeah, this weekend, like I told you, our family took a road trip and took your album 34/7
Oh,
along with
thank you
us.
so much. Thank
And
you.
I can tell you right now, when you were driving down the California coast with the windows open and the smell of the ocean and just on a typical American road trip, your music is absolutely the perfect thing to listen to.
Oh, wow,
And
thank
it was so enjoyable. And I
you.
am really grateful for the opportunity to be able to meet with you and do a sit down interview with you. Um, and thank you to Lowell Hammond for
Yeah.
introducing us. We're gonna get
Yeah.
to we're gonna get to
Woo!
a little work you did with Lowell there. Yeah, Lowell is awesome. He
Yeah.
rocks.
Yeah.
So let's get to I want to touch on the your musical background, your origins, so to speak. And um, do you happen to come from a family of music, such as where there was music on in the home all of the time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, there's a lot of musos and musicians in my family. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So my dad he was like, he was in a reggae band back in the 70s, and then he got into like music production, and he used to have like singers round, and he would be like working with them. This is when I was about 3 years old, and I would always. It was like the Flintstones, when he throws the cat out at the end of the Flintstones. That's what I was like. I was the cat trying to get in the studio. My dad had to like literally pick me up because I wanted to be in there, and I guess I absorbed a lot of that, and that was really nice. And yeah, I remember my dad always used to like play games with me, like testing my ears and tapping things, and be like, "Oh, can you hear the bass in this song? Can you, things like that." I didn't. I just thought it was a game, and yeah, it was. There was a lot of music around. My mom loves music, and she's not a musician, but she just like she could naturally just kind of pick up instruments. I remember I saw her once in a drum kit, and well, I had a little electric drum kit in when we were like rehearsing in my living room. So back in the day, and she just got in it, and I was like, "Mom, you could play drums." She's like, "No, no, no, don't watch me play." So, but yeah, she's really cool. Yeah, and so yeah, my sister's musical, but my dad's brother, he's like the serious musician out of like the family. Like he's done workshops with like um Clapton, BB King. Like he's played for John Holt, Roy. He's toured all over the world. He produced Karen Wheeler, sung Soul to Soul. He's he and my dad were like my main kind of like musical influences as a child, like directly, and to the point where when I play guitar, people tell me I play like my uncle. I look like my uncle playing, which is quite interesting. There's like a sort of DNA thing there or something going on. Yeah, and then I could go on with the family. There's a lot more, but I don't want to like just keep running this. So, but yeah, it was around and it was encouraged, which was nice. Um, and so like I remember like writing my first song and then showing my dad, and then my dad was like, "It's really cool, but you can work on this, and that." And then it was like, "Oh, okay." And it taught me how to take criticism, and just understand like just kind of taking on what's useful for the song and like why it should work like this, and why you would choose this, and do you want to be grammatically correct or not? It's a choice, those kind of things. So yeah, I'm very, very grateful for the influences of my family musically. Um,
Okay.
yeah.
Very interesting. BB King was such a kind man. I got to meet him backstage in Dallas, Texas, which was at the Eric Clapton Crossroads Guitar Festival, and
Oh,
it was
cool.
one of his final performances. And when BB King got on stage, he captured the crowd and he kept them, and
Yeah.
he would not end. He had a certain set list time, and he
Mm,
ran way over it, and everybody was so glad. He was very personable, uh
yeah.
very, very nice gentleman. So when you started realizing that you had an interest in music yourself, was there a point when you found your voice, so to speak, when you started to sing and realize, hey, wait a second, I can sing? Do you recall finding your voice?
Um, it's interesting. Not so much. So so apparently I was a bit of a weird kid. Like I could whistle from before I was like 2 years old, and I could name songs. There was an old show called Top of the Pops, and it used to play, songs in the charts. And I was like sitting in the high chair, so I couldn't even like walk properly yet. Um, and like for example, a song would come on, and like maybe a bar or two of the song come on, and I'd say Cliff Richard, then I'd say Elton John, and I was like naming the songs. So I was always picking up on music. And then I always used to say, when will I play guitar? Not when will I learn to play guitar? It's always
Mhm.
like it's a thing that was just going to happen. And then so with singing, I kind of just did it because I just thought it was just a part of, you know, you if you play, you sing, and that's just something I enjoyed doing. Um, but I guess it's interesting with singing. I guess I still feel like I'm forever trying to work on myself and develop and get better. So I still feel like I'm finding my voice, even though I've been putting stuff out and releasing. I still feel like there's a lot of growth to do. And so I'm always like, yeah, the next project will be better, or I can raise the bar again. I can challenge myself more. And it's only really within the past, I'd say, kind of since 34/7 when I did that a couple of years ago, that felt like the beginning of, oh, I'm at the point now where musically I'm really starting to do the things I've always wanted to do. And I've kind of, I haven't released much, or I haven't released anything since then, because I've been taking the time out to develop and take the time out to grow in the ways that I've wanted to. This is the thing, when you play a lot live, if you're constantly playing, you're not obviously really practicing and getting the time to change the things you want to play, or change the things you want to actually change. So it's, in one sense, it's been really nice to go back into the lab, and really just work on myself and the things that I want to achieve. And it's simple things really. Like I always I've, I've been told I have a unique voice in terms of that. I don't really sound like many people. Um, but at the same time, what I'm looking for is vocal freedom, for example. And I never had like well, I had some formal singing lessons in college, but I've never had like one solid tutor to take me from, scratch to here. So it's always been bits and bobs of things. And it's only really in the past 3 years I've been working on that. And it's really, especially the past year, where I feel like now I'm getting to the point where I'm vocally being able to express the way I want. And that's what I would say is my voice. even though I've always had a voice, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it
Uh,
does. It does. So, when someone listens to 34/7, and when they listen to something new that you have coming up, would you say that your voice has evolved since then, or is it still evolving?
yeah, I mean, even just within that project, it changed, it evolved, as you say, just in the making of that, because you're hearing ideas and you try things and you're like, oh, I've not gone to that space before, let me do that. And then it's like, let me practice that and let me become more consistent at that. So it just the making the project helped kind of raise the bar. And then doing performing the songs after the project was made again raises the bar. And then you do other things, you get different life experiences, you practice more, again it's going to change. So I would still say I sound like me, but there is definitely like an evolution to it.
An evolution. Okay. Okay, very good. Now, do you recall any inspirations? But touching back on these younger years, do you recall any inspirations, particular performers or genres that might have helped to inspire you?
Yeah. So I'm not going to go down the obvious route actually, because it's the thing that I always do. So I'm going to start with the less obvious. Even though it might seem obvious, I was actually really influenced by film music. So one
Okay.
of the films I absolutely loved growing up was Hook, Robin Williams
Yeah.
and Dustin Hoffman. Yeah. And the
Mhm.
soundtrack to that is what made that film for me. That film really put my child mind in Neverland, and seeing
Mhm.
him become Peter Pan and all that. I just thought the soundtrack, the score was brilliant. And then I found out that's John Williams, and then John Williams' other works, he's just phenomenal as a composer and arranger. So hearing those types of arrangements and being exposed to them, and literally I would watch the film on repeat, and other film scores like Back to the Future. I loved Back to the Future. And again, a cool musical influence in that. I say this is all cool, but like what we would say is cool is him playing Johnny Be Good on stage and rocking out. And I wanted to do that from like so little. I was like, yeah, I want to play that song. So that's musical influence, and the cartoons I watched as a kid, or if I was watching like Ninja Turtles or Power Rangers, I still save the theme tunes for these on YouTube or Spotify, because then I'm listening to the music and the arrangements and stuff, because it's really cool. Or the old Mega Drive games that we used to. You remember like the Sega Mega Drive and like the old
Oh yeah.
Nintendo.
Yep.
Some of those arrangements are crazy. If you listen to like they're like jazz fusion, and it's insane when you listen to what's going on, and you just think you're absorbing all of that as a kid because you're playing the game, but that's part of the experience is the music as well. So I know I've got friends I can sing certain level music to, and they'll know exactly what it is, from what game. So yeah, so
You,
film, TV, games. Bill and Ted was another one which was really cool. Do you remember
mhm.
that?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah,
Again,
definitely.
yeah, even though they couldn't play for
Yeah.
most of it, yeah. But then going into actual musicians, it was like Stevie Wonder, Michael Jackson,
Mhm.
Bob Marley, Marvin Gaye, Whitney Houston, Mariah Carey, Freddie Mercury, and Queen. To be honest, it's like if it moved me as a child, then they were an influence. I'd listen to like the Platters, Only You and The Great Pretender, those kind of things. I love. It's actually more so now when I'm older, but like Nat King Cole, and it just has to make me feel something to become an influence, and then it's like, oh, I'll take that. Thank you. That's the nice thing about music. I think that it's really it's so open to being interpreted in many different ways, and I think musicians are sensitive to that. They're sensitive to those frequencies, and they can kind of pick up on that, and then they will digest them, and it will come out in the way that they choose to express.
Okay. Now, you just touched on some very interesting things, and I was not expecting the cartoon influence. Now, you mentioned John Williams. And Star Wars may not have been as a smash hit like it was had it not been for John Williams. And we're going to touch on the importance of music and film here. But what you made me realize is I believe John Williams also composed the music for Gilligan's Island.
Oh,
I
really?
think. I believe so. I read that recently. I may be wrong, but that's very interesting that you should mention that. And that's a question we're going to have here coming up. I'm going to ask you about the importance of music and film, but touching one last time on your background, I'm wondering uh, what was it like with mentors in your life when you first found your voice, when you first realized and didn't ask, will I learn to play a guitar? When will I learn to play a guitar? Back during those times, did you have mentors around you, such as family, that supported you and told you, hey, you're good at this and you need to pursue it? And or did you have educators around you who were mentors?
Yes. So as I said, my dad is a musician, and so we played together a lot. I mean, growing up, it was a really nice thing to do that we would just sit down and play music together and actually write together as well. So he's even there's a track on 34/7 that was originally his song. And then I
Oh,
asked him,
really?
yeah, I asked him if I could basically revamp it. And
Mhm.
I wrote a new verse to it and changed the musical style. And the style is, sorry, I know I'm going off a little bit here, but the style is it's the song called A Tear or Two. And
A tear or two?
yeah,
Okay.
he wrote that for his father that passed away the year before I was born. And he was also a musician. He played guitar and he sang as well, and so did so my granddad and my granddad's brothers did as well. They were like a group back in the day. So I thought it was a nice way to kind of pay, tribute to that family line.
Mhm.
And I used the guitar style that my uncle showed me. It was kind of influenced by like West African guitar. So yeah, and the song, obviously, it's a very meaningful song for me and for my dad. And when I played it to him, yeah, I got his approval, which was really nice. So
Okay.
yeah, and he really liked it. He was happy with it, and it fits with the whole theme of what the whole EP is about. I can tell you about that later if you want, like what,
You can
because
tell
the
me
whole.
right now. I would love
Oh,
to hear that
okay.
because as soon as we're done, I'm going to go listen to that again. I've already heard it two or three times
Oh,
because I've
thank
already
you.
listened to 34/7 in its entirety, including yesterday when we were
Okay.
driving.
Yeah.
So
So,
yeah,
so
please do.
do you listen to it as the just the whole track consolidated, or do you listen to it track by track?
Both. Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
I've done
Okay.
both, depending
So,
on
so
how much time I have for
of
music at the
course.
time.
Oh no, thank you. So I
Mhm.
originally intended for it to be listened to just as the whole track, like you would listen to an old school record.
Oh,
But because
okay.
obviously I knew it was going up for streaming, and I wanted to give people the choice of if they wanted to select individual tracks. So that's why I uploaded the whole track as as one a track that's 34 minutes and 7 seconds long. Yeah,
Got it. Okay, now I get it.
yeah,
Awesome.
yeah. And
Okay.
it's really just it's a journey about kind of like finding yourself really. So it starts off with Backfired, which is like most of us, we find ourselves in situations and we kind of go like, how did I get here? How did I get here emotionally? What, how did things end up being what we would say so bad or so terrible? And in this case, it's a relationship. And then from that point, it starts to backtrack. So I go into like this little interlude where you're hearing like voices and things like that. And it's like the thoughts that are kind of going on in discussions with the partner, and really understanding, oh, it's deeper than just this. And maybe actually we're better off separated. And actually I need time to kind of find the roots of where these issues are coming from. And then I think, if I'm right, it goes into everything reminds me of you. And it's, yeah, realizing that's that still thing of trying to hold on to the situation, and like not wanting to give up, and the idea of like love being really the thing that's driving you, but these things are still there, but it's not forgetting that. And then it goes into concept generation, which is now the understanding of, oh, this is where my influences have come from about why I'm maybe triggered about these things, or maybe why I'm addicted to sweets, or, you know, someone's addicted to alcohol, or something, because we are, you know, we're fed things, you know, and where we consume things, don't we? So it's about kind of realizing that, and then being able to, out of that, make a choice about, you know, whether you want to stop that or not, you know, whether you want to, you know, if people want to drink, they can drink. If they want to have chocolate, they can, you know, you can do what you want, but it's just more so just taking control of yourself and being able to go, okay, let's, you know, whether it's for the masses or for yourself as an individual, stop the hurt. So, you know, I go into like talking about that, I'm singing about that. That's one of the tracks. And then from there, it is, I believe, Get Me Out. So Get Me Out is then, you're kind of like, when you, this happens emotionally with people, you come to a situation, you face it, and then it's like, I can't deal with this. I don't want to be here anymore. I just want to leave. I literally just, you know, it's that feeling. And that's what Get Me Out is venting, but also still understanding that you are coming to the realization that I'm still moving forward. I'm still progressing. I'm not stuck here. I can get out of this. And then it goes into the realization of, I've got an interlude track called Pass It On, where I to say like love, hate, fear, pass it on to me. And the deeper meaning to that is that I'm talking about, there's a word like transgenerational trauma, when you pass it on, you know, like something was passed on from a father to a son to another son, you know, and it could be just that it was just never dealt with, you know, things were never really, like the emotional issues were never dealt with. So they carry that, but they carry the good and the bad, you know, the positive and the negative. So when it gets to a tier or two, that which is about loss, it's also saying goodbye to those things as well, not just like, oh, I've lost somebody or I'm losing a part of myself, but I'm also, you know, I can let it go. I can let these things go. And then when it gets to the final track, Best If I'm Just Me, that is the realization of being honest with yourself about where you are, who you are, where you're at, and being at peace with that. And yeah, and then kind of like starting again in a sense, and from that point. So I've given you a very rough take, and this was like where I was at with it. And so there's I sent you the lyric video on YouTube. So if you when you watch it and read the lyrics and stuff, it will probably make a lot more sense, better sense than I just,
yeah. What an excellent description, and thank you. And that's I'm going to listen to it again now, knowing that, and this makes it apparent that you are a storyteller through lyrics.
Yeah. So I forgot to say, so when you asked me about hobbies and things like that, I also have gotten into more like, so I guess you could call it like life coaching in a sense, but this comes alongside like the teaching. What I've realized is, you know, teaching is communicating, right? And being able to communicate, if you can communicate well with yourself, you can communicate well with others. So this is something else that I kind of do. I'm like, I kind of just, you know, like people will come to me for advice for things, and, you know, I'll share my thoughts and, you know, processes with them. And I'm working on expanding that more as well. And that all comes under the whole martial arts umbrella as well. So it's all connected, you know, so.
Okay. Makes sense. That's really cool. What is your educational background like?
So, you know, like pretty much everyone here, I went, you know, nursery, primary school, secondary school, but then after secondary school, well, actually in secondary school, I've got to big up my old music teacher, Mr. Morgan, because he came to the school when I was about 13, and before that, the music teacher or the head of music was, well, I'll just put it this way, she didn't really like me for some reason, and I don't know why. So it made my time in music quite challenging up until that point. Like she wanted me to play the euphonium, and oh my gosh, I tried, and playing the euphonium and carrying that back and forth to school is it's not the quietest. Sorry to any euphonium players. It wasn't for me, but yeah, and she wasn't really interested in the fact I could already play guitar or things like that. But anyway, that's another thing. But yeah, when our new music teacher joined, Mr. Morgan, he allowed us to use the music rooms in the morning before school, at lunchtime, after school. He put us on in summer concerts. He let myself and my friends like perform as a group and with our own songs. He was just so supportive, and I still try and keep in touch with him to this day. And so he was also a good like mentor, and and encouraged. And I also had I took flamenco guitar lessons he played flamenco and like ragtime, and so I did that in secondary school where I learned those kind of things on guitar. So that was really cool for like rhythm and doing like the old Gypsy King stuff, and that was cool. And then from there I went to the Brit School of Performing Arts. I don't know if you know that. It's so it's like it's the college, it's a performing arts college where they have like music, dance, art, musical theatre. It's been going for a while. I think it's been going over 30 years now. And it was fantastic. Like Adele went there, and Jessie J, Lyndon David Hall. Yeah, there's loads of people that went there, and they went on to do quite well. So that was an experience because, I mean, most of the time it just felt it was different from doing traditional exams. You did what we call, do you know BTEC? So
No.
Instead of taking an exam at the end of the year, you're constantly monitored and graded at the end of every term based on your progression. So you just do projects, and then you get either distinction, merit, or pass based on each project. And then at the end of your 2 years, so you can go from 14 to 18, but I went from 16 to 18. So I finished secondary school and went for the last 2 years where I just focused on music. And you get 3 grades at the end of it. Distinction, you can get either DDD, MMM, or PPP, right? Distinction, merit, or pass, or a mix. I got, I think, like DDM because I couldn't be bothered to do some music history homework. I was like, what's the point? I thought I'm not going to use it. It's really bad. I'm really like honest with things like that. If I don't feel it, I will just say. But my music teacher was cool about it. She was like, okay, it's fine. It's just your grade would have gone up. I was like, it's fine. I wasn't bothered about it. So yeah, I got to meet many musical, not just musical, just really extremely talented people at the Brit School. We got to work in, learn how to use studios, work in groups, do performances outside of school. They got us gigs at like the Queen Elizabeth Halls in London. They even did Glastonbury. They went to Glastonbury and did some shows there, and that was really cool. We played in like the left field tent to 5,000 people. I was actually a teacher when I did that, but they called me back I started teaching guitar there. That was my first job.
Okay.
As I left because I needed to do something to earn money. So I was like, yeah,
Gotcha.
can I have a job here playing, teaching guitar? So yeah, it was good. It was really useful because I planned to not go to school after I'd finished secondary school. I was like, I just want to get out there and do music. And my parents were like, you sure you want to do that? I was like, yeah, I'm just ready to go, because I don't care about all these other subjects. And then they were like, just check this place out, see if you like it. And if you like it, you can go for it. And if you don't, then, we'll see about other things. And so when I went, I loved it. And you had to do an interview. And for the interview, you took a test, like a music theory test. Now, I suck at music theory. I do it. I play my ear. I knew a tiny bit, but yeah. And I had my interview, and like you do a listening test and perform, And for the performance, the music teacher said to me, "Who wrote that song?" She goes, "Was it Lionel Richie?" I was like, "No, that's like one of mine." And she was like, "Oh, this is great." And I was feeling well chuffed and really excited.
There you go.
and then yeah, it was a big boost. And then she goes, well, now regarding your test results, you got like 8. And I'm like, oh, 8 out of 10, that's pretty good. It's like, no, 8 out of 100 or something like that. I mean,
Oh.
I completely failed. So I had to go away and study for 4 months and learn music theory and come back and retake the test to show that I was committed. And
Really?
yeah, it was a few. It happened to quite a few of us. Um, Me and one of my best mates, we went applied together. Literally, same thing happened to him. We went away, studied, came back, and they let us in. So that was yeah, that was a good experience. And you were tested, you were assessed. They had to say choose pieces that you think are equivalent to, like, for example, grade 8, and then play it, arrange a band, and you really had to get stuck in with everything. So it was from being 16 to 18, it was just an amazing experience musically and creatively.
Okay. Now, I've actually had the opportunity of interviewing a couple of people that have been to the Brit School, and it's my understanding that they don't have on-campus living. Were you living somewhere else and commuting back and forth to the
Yeah,
Brit
they
School?
don't. No, they don't do that. No.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
No,
Well,
it's not.
it
So,
sounds like you found some wonderful mentors there.
yeah, I did. The teachers were really cool. They were really encouraging. Um, I mean, to be honest, I really, like, all the staff were really, really nice, and they really were really supportive. And they still are. I went back to, like, the reunion, I think it was last year, and I saw my old teachers, and it was weird because I'm like the age they were then, but they look the same. So I was like, what? Like, this is like the weirdest thing. But I remember one of my teachers, Connor, he played the tabla as well. Like, he plays kind of a lot of things, but he studied in India and played tabla. And he got me involved in mixing the strands together. So doing a music project with, like, dance or with musical theatre. He was the first one to kind of do that. I think we did a project about apartheid, and we had to do, like, some drumming and and guitar stuff, and that was really cool. And so, not obviously, so it's still educational, but at the same time, you're just getting loads of experience, and you don't even realize how much, really, until you leave, and you're like, wow, I really took in a lot. And obviously, you're meeting people outside of school because you have friends of friends that maybe don't go there, but that are also in music. Or they invite you down to a gig, or say you should hang out or go. Do you want to do a jump on a gospel gig and play in for this choir and things like that. So those kind of things happened, which was really cool.
Or okay. Are you a concert goer?
I Not like all the time, but I love concerts. I love shows. This is really weird. So not a lot of people know this, but so I don't like crowds. Like, I don't like being in a crowd. But I love performing to a crowd. Um,
Okay.
but if I'm sat and and I got a bit of space around me, it's cool. I love it. And yeah, I've seen quite a few, and really enjoy them. And I always tend to start imagining my own shows while I'm in the concert, because I'm, like, very inspired.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you on the crowds there. I've been to a good number of concerts, but it seems as you get older, you're less tolerant of the crowds. I remember we were at a Willie Nelson concert one time
Oh,
and almost got smashed. It's kind of
yeah.
scary. We
Yeah, it
had
is.
the crowd shifted and we kind of had to get out of there. But
Yeah.
that's really cool. That with you watching a live concert and imagining yourself. Um,
Yeah.
do you enjoy performing live? Do you feel a connection with the crowd as you're performing
Yeah,
live?
absolutely. Yeah. So some of my friends that are watching on Instagram, they're probably just laughing, like, oh yeah, he does. He loves it. Yeah. So yeah, I've always loved it. So one of the things, going back to when I used to play music with my dad, he would always say, just treat every show like you're in your living room and you're just having
Mhm.
a good time and you're putting on your own show. So I will literally sit and talk to people like this in a show, just about stuff in between songs, and I'll mention things, but I'll beatbox, or I'll do like the odd, like, like little tricks. I'll do like the dubbing thing, go, hey, yeah, let's go right now, things like that, and just tell them mic and, beatbox and what, my friends know me for doing like way too much. But but because I found them to be nice icebreakers with the crowd, but also they do, yeah, they just help you kind of connect a bit more, and then it gets people to like listen to you a bit more as well, and just to show you that there is no, like, for me, I don't believe artists are on like a pedestal, but we're just providing, you know a feeling, and we're providing something. And then obviously if you go to a show, you want to respect the artist and listen to what they're singing and what they're talking about, but there's no screen between us, in a sense. Like, obviously you don't go up to someone and just, I've had that where people have just come onto the stage and tried to sit down on the stage or take my mic or something like that, because they've
Oh,
had a bit
wow.
too much of the happy water.
Right.
And it's just like you kind of roll with it. But yeah, I believe it's really nice to feel included as, the listener, and like almost like you could go on stage, or you are so comfortable at home that I feel like I'm just chilled at home, like listening to this, and I'm just getting this wonderful experience of music, and connecting with it, rather than it being really formal, like I'm at a concert and they're there and I'm here and it's so cold. Do you know what I mean? So I love that whole interaction. I learned a lot from the guy I used to tour with. He's called Patrice. And we toured a lot around Europe. I was his backing vocalist and guitarist for a bit, and he was all about live music and interaction, and getting literally the whole crowd to like run left and run right, and jump up and down and stuff like that, and interact. And you learn every live show is different, so it's like every conversation is different. You can never do the same thing twice, because you're never the same. It's like, even like right now, I'm not the same as I was when we started this interview. So from when I knew that, and I was like, it makes you less nervous. You always have a bit of nerves because you care.
Right.
But then it's like, oh, what's gonna happen today? What's the show gonna be like? How are we gonna, like, what jokes are we gonna have today? Or what musical moments are gonna come up between, myself and the band, or, the musicians we're playing with, like, and then you create experiences and memories, don't you? And then you come away with that, and yeah, it's kind of magical, really, I think.
Wow. What a great way of putting it. Lewis, you are very interesting. There, as far as somebody jumping up on the stage at a live concert, I've seen that happen. It was ZZ Top that was performing live in Beaumont, Texas, and some drunk, I'm assuming it was some drunk guy, jumped up on the stage next to Dusty Hill, the now late bass player, and was sitting there acting like he was playing bass with Dusty, and we thought that it was part of the show until security took him out pretty fast. So that's pretty crazy. I guess, and every concert is different.
Yeah.
And of your live performances, could you pick something memorable that just really touched your heart or something at it while you were performing live?
Oh gosh, I've never. Oh, there's probably like loads of things.
Okay, so it's not just one.
Yeah, it's hard to say, because it's I've had they're so different each show, but I mean, and one of my one of the last shows, what that I was kind of, so I was touring just before COVID hit. So I was touring just before that. I was supporting an artist called Jarmaine, and we got to do a show at a place called the Hideaway in London, which is now closed down, and I'm really glad that I was able to do it, because I always wanted to play at that venue. And we managed to do 4 gigs on the tour, but this was the first one before COVID hit. And yeah, it was just, to be honest, I wasn't expecting the audience's response to my set to be the way it was, because it was very much his fan base, and I didn't know really what they would be like with me, because you're the support act, and it was like it was just, yeah, it was amazing actually. I couldn't believe their their response to just interacting with me, and then to the applause in between, to the feedback afterwards, them coming up to me, just really wanting to support what I was doing. um I, again, that's moving to me, that I was able to provide a service in that way, to that they could feel these things and feel like just happy emotionally. And yeah, that was incredible. And then I've had other moments where, with the guy that I was touring with, so these are kind of like, really, this is a really cool moment. I remember we were playing yeah, again with Patrice, and he liked to go off script. So we'd have a set list, but he would like just abandon the set list. And he had albums that I didn't know the material to, like not one album, albums. And he would just pull out songs. So you just had to kind of go with the flow. So he would just do
Wow.
stuff like that. Like, I'm talking about in front of like 20,000 people. He would do stuff like
Wow.
that. It's like big festivals. And he's like, this is live music. It's live, it's alive. And I'm like, yeah, it really is. And I remember this one time we were like in this kind of jam, and it's just this memory that always pops out. And I can't remember it wasn't we were playing any particular song, but just at some point we all moved together. The band just did the same thing. And it wasn't like signaled to do, it wasn't triggered by anything. We just all felt to do it. And as we did it, we hit the chord, and then I looked up at the bass player, and then he looked at me, and then we looked at the drums, like, oh, like everybody, it kind of hit, because it felt a bit like an out of body experience in that moment,
Right.
which was really cool. And fun if that bass player, I got him to play bass on Stop the Hurt. His name's Sol. Yeah, and he's a phenomenal bassist, and just musician. He used to play for a guy called Keziah Jones. He was like his original bassist. He's been around for ages, Keziah, but yeah, really cool. So yeah, that was a cool moment that I can think of. But there's been many.
Okay. Okay. All right. So I had asked you for an hour, and
Yeah.
we're pushing on that,
I'm
but I've
so
got
sorry. It's because I talk so much. I'm sorry.
no, that's great. I don't want to keep you longer than what I said. I have some more questions if we can
Yeah,
keep
sure. Go
going.
for it. Yeah, go for
Okay,
it. No,
awesome. Okay.
no.
Now what I'm wondering is, in listening to 34/7, I understand it now more that you have described it to me, where it all goes together. And that's going to be real interesting to listen to this album again now, knowing that. But in listening to it, even the very first time, it occurred to me that these songs are different in genre or style, and it's changing. And what I'm wondering, um, learning that your music is broad ranging, um, do you have a favorite genre, or do you enjoy all types of music, or can you even put yourself in a genre, or would you prefer not to be settled into and encapsulated into just one genre?
Yeah. So I always say, like, I don't, as the artist in me doesn't believe in genres, in
Okay,
that,
that's what I thought.
because music's music, right? Like,
Hmm.
the genres are so that we can identify rhythms, and and harmony, and also, like, and culturally where it's coming from as well, right? So I understand it's, different cultures have influenced music, and I get it. And for a business side of things, if you're selling music, we kind of need to market it to people. For example, if you like, I don't know, if you like Led Zeppelin, you're not really gonna pitch them some meditation music, for example. Like, you might do, I don't know, like, but you
Maybe.
yeah, it could be, yeah. Might not have been the best example, but yeah. Yeah. But you know what I mean? It's yeah, I totally get why having it is important for the listener. Um, I believe when making music, it should be it should be what is felt and what resonates with you, rather than if I immediately go to box myself into a genre or a type of style or a style of writing, I'm immediately limiting myself to what I can potentially come up with. So I would much rather just be open. And if it's like you know, if it's a jazzy thing that comes to mind, then cool. Or if it's like, an R&B thing that comes to mind, cool. Then let's just go with that. Let's write it and see what happens. Because the thing is, the sound and the genre can always be changed, like after the song is written. But the song needs to be a good song first on, an acoustic instrument that you can sit down at the piano and play it, or sit down with the guitar and play it and sing it, and the song just carries itself. The production and the genre, that can come later. So all those songs on 34/7, we could re-genre those, into other things if we wanted to. You could do, that's what remixing is, right? Like, in a sense, Um, so it's yeah, I get its importance, but I think for creatives, I would always advise I wouldn't go into that headspace at that point. I I would say be free, create, let it be what it is. Then, hone it down afterwards once you actually have something. Because you focus could be here, but you're missing all the good stuff over here,
Right.
So for me, genre is, yeah, it's a funny one. It has to apply at a certain time. Yeah.
Okay. Now, let's touch one last time on your younger years and getting started. Do you happen to recall the very first time that you ever heard your own voice on a professional recording, and how did that feel?
uh, so what was the professional recording now? Yeah, so we used to record on the dictaphone, like our songs, because I had like a little band back in the day, when I was like 12, 13. And so I used to, record it. When I first heard my voice on that, I was like, that's disgusting. I never want to hear myself again because it's just,
Oh,
that's the thing. I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't sound the way I thought I did.
right,
But then obviously the more you start to record, you get used to that, right? And then it starts to sound like you hear yourself as you're hearing it in your head, you're
right,
hearing it. So in terms of like professionally, because I've always been around musicians and people that have had equipment and things like that, hearing myself on good quality, I wasn't so phased by it because I'd done a lot of like the stuff on tape, dictaphones and things like that, and just recording. We had loads and loads of cassettes of our songs that we'd make and then mail back to ourselves, and copyright and all that. So
right, right.
so yeah, does that answer the question? Is that
Yeah,
okay? Yeah.
yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Now, let me ask you about the songwriting process. And I know that for some people, myself included, I can hear music in my head some of the time. And some of the time it's been at night. Some of the time it's actually been in a dream. And I've actually lost songs before. A couple of months ago, I lost probably the most beautiful song that I've ever heard because it was I don't know if I was in REM, but it was in bed
Yeah.
asleep, and I got up and went to get something to eat or drink instead of going directly to the computer and trying to write down what I was hearing.
Yeah.
And what I'm wondering is, do you have that happen? Do you have a notepad by your bed on your bedstand? Have you ever lost a song? And what is your song creativity process like? I know that's a lot clumped there into one, but
It's okay.
it kind
Yeah.
of goes
Yeah.
together.
Yeah, it goes together. That's a really
Yeah.
good question. Good questions.
Thank you.
Yes, I dream music and songs. So there's a song I produced for an artist called Face Fate on and I wrote and co-produced it with my friend Jay Floats, and that is called Outside. And I dreamt that song. I could hear it in my head, and then I literally got up and I was like, I gotta write it. And so when that happens, and I have lost songs before, and you're like, this is the best thing I've ever heard, and then you wake up and like if you don't record it, it will go. And I thought to myself, oh, I'll remember it in the morning. It's gone. So when that happens to me now, I just get up. I use my phone, and I just use my vocal notes on my phone, and I sing the ideas into my phone. Once I've done that, I'll remember the song and I'll remember the feeling. I just need a little bit of it to remember. So my phone is like full of like really terrible vocal notes, just going. You wake up.
But you know what it is.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, or I'm not pitch perfect, but I like have relative pitch, so I've kind of trained myself to hear pitches. So sometimes it might be musical, and so if I can't get to my phone, I'll sing it and I'll say, this is the notes that are being played, and this is the rhythm, and I'll remember how that would translate to the guitar. And so then the next morning I will go to the guitar and then I'll play those notes and it will jog my memory. So yeah, I do that. But yeah, I love dreaming songs. It's amazing. But it doesn't obviously happen every night. I wish it did. My process for writing, it's changed. When I say it's changed, it hasn't. It's just developed. So I used to just, when I first started, I'd hear everything, like pretty much at once. So it'd be lyrics, melody, chords, and I'll be like, that's it. Like then it could be the hook, for example, the hook of the song, like bam, and I'll write that. And so when it happens like that, I know it's probably going to be decent. When sometimes I could be fiddling about with chords, and then something inspires me, just an interval, sorry, a movement, a chord movement. I'm like, oh, that struck a nerve, and I really like that. And I want to write to it, but maybe I don't have any lyrics yet. So what tends to happen with me is that I get into this. I feel like it's a mood to write. I'm
Gotcha.
like, I'm in the mood to write, but I might not write for months. But I just feel like something's coming, and so I don't try to force it if I don't have to. If it's for projects and things like that, I can just write. But when it's those kind of things and I'm feeling that, I'm like, no, this is going to be something quite special, and so I want it to be organic because I know it will be better that way. So I will wait, and then I have a song called Pieces that's out on Spotify, and I had the chorus for it, and a year later I wrote the rest of the song because
really?
Yeah. So all I had was these are the pieces.
Yeah, I heard it this morning.
Yeah. So yeah, and then I had nothing else, and I was like, okay. And I was like, cool, it is what it is. And then and occasionally I would just listen to it and I would sing it while I'm like walking to lessons. I like to walk a lot, so I like to write and walk and jot down ideas. And then it came to me one day. I was just like, oh, let me think about working on pieces because I was feeling that writing mood. It was there. And then it was like, hello sadness, here's a sound. I was like, oh, cool.
Oh,
bang.
Nice.
Yeah.
Can you do that again?
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Oh, thank you. That was like, that came to me then, and I was like, the rest of the song came. So sometimes a song can be like 20 minutes and it's bam, it's there. And so now it's like, so I can share with you, like, so I'm working on new stuff at the moment. And I'm working with a producer friend of mine called Nate Notes. Notes, he's really cool. And he's it's been really great working with him because we're very similar musically. We have similar influences. He gets me as an artist. And I just showed him a song that I wanted to bring out, but I was like, this is it's an old song I wrote about 17 years ago, but I want to revamp it. So I revamped it, and then I was thinking he would be really cool to just mix it because he's got an ear for this kind of genre of music because it's more funky. And then I brought it to him and we started work. He was like, "Oh, I'd actually be happy to work on it," and I was like, "Amazing!" So we started working on it, started breaking down the production, changing things. I was like, "Yeah, this is really cool. I'm vibing with this." And then it got to a point where the production's feeling better than the song, and we're like, the song's not feeling right, and I'm like, "Oh, yeah, it's not," and it's kind of that can be hard to digest because you're like, I have the whole song here and I've had it for 17 years and I've even performed this live, in the past and it's gone down really well. So you have a history with it. And he basically challenged me and he said, I think you're gonna have to like rewrite the song. And I'm like, oh, really? Okay. I thought I tried to make the song work in so many ways, and I was like, being completely honest with myself, it's not happening. So I said, all right, I'm going to do it. I went away for like 2 weeks, literally every day, just listening to the 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 kind of demo track that we had of the production.
Right.
Just listening and just jotting down ideas and trying to play with rhythms because obviously if you sung the same song for 17 years, that's in your mind. So to get out of that was a little bit trickier than it being a completely brand new thing.
Right.
So, but then after 2 weeks, I was able to come up with something. And then when it was there, I was like, yes, this is it. This is what I, was searching for. This is the feeling. And then when I showed it to him, he's like, yep, that's it. And so that's been a different process. And it's been a slower process of more recently in terms of writing. And I'm also, as I said, I'm revamping old songs. I have a lot of songs that I've wrote in the past. And I don't want them to go to waste. So they
Gotcha.
shouldn't be sitting on the hard drive because I'm like, this is actually a good song. It just needs to be brought forward into now. So like 34/7, every song on that EP is the newest songs were the first two, Backfired and Reminds Me of You. Backfired, I wrote with an artist called Jordan Thomas. Um, I think we wrote it in 2017. And again, that's still a while back now, and that's like 6 years. And then Everything Reminds Me of You. I wrote that in around 2019. And then Concept Generation, I wrote in 2012. Stop the Hurt, I wrote in 2012. You know, I used my dad's song, which was like from the
Right.
80s, Best If I'm Just Me, I also wrote in 2012. Actually, it was like 2011. And sorry, Concept Generation was 2011 as well. So, but they had
Okay.
meaning for this project. They made sense to this project as a song as well. And I was like, if I just revamp it, change the production, what I do musically now, it took on a whole new life. So I have old demos of pretty much all those songs. Um, that they have the essence there, but they're not as polished.
Right.
So yeah, I mix kind of between revamping old songs to writing new stuff, but I never try to force it if I don't have to force the writing
Right.
for
Okay.
myself.
Absolutely awesome. Okay. Now you have pretty much answered the next question. I was going to ask you about block. And it
Mhm.
sounds like you are operating in the opposite direction to where you are creating when you're inspired. But before we move on to that, can we take a 2-minute commercial break?
Sure, no problem.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
Be
no
right
worries.
back.
All right, see you. Yo, Instagram. Who's on Instagram? Who's watching at the moment? Let's see. Ooh, Alex, James, Wagwan. Oh, this is recording. That's really funny. I'm just saying, I said Wagwan. What he said, right? Hey,
And we're back.
cool.
Okay. Three, two, one. Now, a lot of artists and performing artists have described something commonly known as a writer's block, where you may have a period of time to where you're not feeling creative.
Yeah.
And with writers, it seems to be common with novelists in particular. And what I'm wondering is, have you ever experienced the traditional writer's block?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there are times when like, you could say, "Oh, I've got nothing, nothing's there." Um, there can be, what I found is that something is there, but it just feels like nothing's there. Um, and there are tools to overcome that. You can start, for example, what I do, I get like some of my students to say, "Oh, look around the room. What do you see?" And they go, "Oh, I see a glass." And then say, "Okay, what else do you see?" And they'll say, "Oh, I see a light." Okay, and I say, "Well, there you go, glass lights." Boom. You have something to start your inspiration. So a lot of the time, it's like being able to trigger inspiration is what people find difficult. And this process is very like what's the word? It's quite labored. You can say glass lights, and then you go, okay, so what do lights do? What do glasses do? Say, or glasses are transparent and light illuminates. It's like these are great words. So and these are giving you visuals. So then you can get into the process of songwriting. Let's say, oh, I saw you through. I don't know. I saw you through a transparent mirror. That's just what's coming up. And it's like, whoa, what's a transparent mirror? You know, because it's like mirror reflects back, and so you've got something interesting right now, and things like that. It's just I just did whatever's coming to mind, but you write it, and by writing it, you prevent the blockage. So even if you believe it's rubbish, you don't think it's good at all, just write it, let it out, and then eventually the good stuff will come. And I learned a lot of that through again, that artist Patrice, he kind of worked like this. So don't be afraid to go into that blank space where you don't know what it is you're going to do. Like actually embrace it and don't be afraid of it, because it's usually the fear that's stopping us and holding us back from, creating.
Okay. Okay, very good. Now, another common trait shared with artists and performing artists is something which can be described in one word, and that is rejection, which is obviously not positive. But an example is, let's say that you have written and performed one of the most beautiful songs that you believe you've ever done, and you may share it with the producer, and they just either ignore you, or they may be so kind as to say something like, "We don't have room for this in our
Yeah,
schedule right now," or
yeah,
anything like that. But I found that rejection is extremely common, and it's very, very rare to speak with anyone who has not experienced that.
yeah.
And I'm wondering, have you experienced anything such? And if so, how did you deal with it?
Yes, I have. And again, it's you change, don't you? So when it first happens, it's the obvious feelings are there. You feel upset. You feel like this is the best thing I've ever done, and why,
Mm-hmm.
why can't they see it? And then you realize, especially when you start doing your own projects, that it's you're looking for very specific things, and so are they. So if it doesn't fit what they want, that's all it is. It
Mm-hmm.
shouldn't take away from your value, that you have for yourself and your art and your craft. It should just be okay. Wasn't for them, it's not meant to be. I will, you should give it your 100% effort to try and get it to whatever you want it to be in, but be completely open to that they might not take it. And if they don't, then you use it for something else. You find a way to reuse it for somebody else's project or your own. Hence why I said I have a lot of songs on the hard drive that some of them have been for other people, but they weren't taken. And it's
Mm-hmm.
like it's just not didn't match their vision. And usually it's also because there's many other factors that you're not thinking about, that you're not aware of, that they are, and they're like, this just can't work, and it's like, fair enough. I can't force my creative ideas into your project. That just doesn't, it won't make sense. I wouldn't want someone to do that to me. So
Okay.
you know what I mean?
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. What a really nice way of putting it. That's turning it into a real positive. So you keep a portfolio. So if you experience rejection, you don't see it as that, and you just put that in your portfolio and continue on.
Yeah, I mean, because again, for them it'll be business, and for you, we're the ones that are putting all the negative feelings on it, right? We're the ones that are like creating the situation in our head, or they don't like me, or they don't like my sound, or blah, blah, blah. It's just like, no, it's just that's not what they wanted, and it's like, cool, that's you kind of have to be like that in order to be able to move on and progress. So
Okay.
yeah, so it's good to, yeah, if it's not used, store it and think about how it can be used later. Definitely.
Okay. Very good. All right. Tell us about what you just recently did with the Lowell Hammond.
So recently we've just done a well, we've made a house track for a song, sorry, a house track for a film. The film is called Dangerous Waters, and it's
Yep.
the late Ray Liotta's last film, which it's absolutely insane that we've got to be a part of it. And we we worked on quite a few different songs, but this was the one that they really liked for the film, which we're like, great, like that. And funny enough, it's a house track, and I people that know me, I've never put out any house music before, so that's definitely more Lowell's expertise. But it was really fun. So Lol and I get on really well in the studio. We really vibe off of each other. And he's a great ideas man. He's just, you'll just keep knocking him out. And I remember he came, the songs, by the way, is going to be out on the 6th of October, I believe. And the film is coming out on the 13th of October.
Okay. I
Um,
was just going to ask that.
yeah, and um, we've also had we've also shot a music video to the song as well, which was my first time really properly directing. So I shot everything on the phone, and I planned like the video, the locations, and Lowell got the two main actors in, and we both like cameo in it as well. It was really fun to do, and yeah, I've done the edit for the video and everything, and that will also be out on I think like TikTok and Instagram and stuff when the song comes out as well. So that's going to be fun. Yes, it's called Fix Up Work It, and
Yep. Fix up,
yeah,
work it.
yeah, Fix Up. It was
Yeah.
it's really funny because yeah, if you just want to know a little bit more about like how we work, I could give you a very small dynamic. Like Lowell had the idea to go, yeah, I've got this idea, and go, you know what Lowell's like? He's like, yeah, I've got this idea, mate. He's like, fix up, work it, fix up, work it. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. And I said, maybe we can play with the rhythm. And I go, fix up, work it, do what you want, just to space it out. And he was like, yeah, that's wicked. And he loved it. And yeah, it was great. And he's such a like bubbly guy to work with. He gives you energy, and
Yeah.
yeah, it was really, really great. Really fun. And Lol, if you're watching, thank you, bro. Yeah.
Yeah, yes. Thank you, Lowell. Lowell pointed me in your direction. I got an opportunity to meet him. In fact, I interviewed him just here recently, maybe just a couple of months ago, and he was introduced to me by British actress Helen Sterling Lane. I
Oh,
guess she recognized that we both like music, and then I got to meet Lowell, and then thanks to
yeah,
him, here we are. So,
yeah.
Fix Up Work It's going to be coming out, and then you worked on Ray Liotta's final film, Dangerous Waters. I mean, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, he was a phenomenal actor, and I was lucky enough to they showed me, I saw a really rough version of the film, and even that I was like, this is really good. this is going to be really cool. And then I got to see like the film. I've seen the film, and again, it was just like a million times better, even though it was really good um, before. And yeah, it was just really, it was really cool to, you know, hear the track in the film and just know that you're kind of part of that. Yeah, it's I still don't think it's quite sunk in.
Yeah.
um, yeah, but it's cool. It's really yeah. I just keep saying it's really cool. It's really cool. Yeah.
Well, now, I cannot wait to see it. It's going to be surreal for me.
Yeah.
Now that I've met some of the people behind the scenes, and you said that you got to work as a director on the music video for Fix Up Work It. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So that was really fun, and I was assisted by my friend Cora, and she was like in the scenes that I'm in, like she's filming, or she would, you know, also like assist direct and just say, "I'll try it like this," and that. And yeah, it was really fun. We spent, I mean, I organized it down to like the letter that, you know, we start at this time, we'll be at this location, then we'll be joined by these actors at this time at this location, then we'll go to here, we'll have lunch here, and yeah, and it was a really, to be honest, it worked out really well, and everybody was amazing in the video. I'm looking forward to sharing the video because the video is very, it's a lot more, it's lighter than the film. It's because of the how it's a house track, and the film is quite serious. So I wanted to find something that matched the mood of the song, but it's very much about we're showcasing strong women really. So, and
Oh,
I wanted to
nice.
get that, you know, and on the same level as the film, because the film does that. So that's the kind of my kind of like little nod to the film, is that meaning behind it, that you have two really strong female characters and they're kind of going around, you know, solving little issues in a quite a comical way. You know, so it's not, some of the situations, they're not actually funny, but the way they do it and the way it's done in a light manner, and it keeps it, you know, upbeat and flowing. And yeah, they were great. It was Bella and Yasmin are the two main actors in it, and they were brilliant. I tagged them a lot on my Instagram for the posts and stuff, so I'll keep posting about that until the release. So yeah, make sure if you guys follow me on Instagram on LVJ official, and I'm also on TikTok as well, and I was gonna say Twitter is that now, isn't it? It's X now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
So,
Universal signal for
yeah,
stop.
yeah, stop. Yeah.
Right.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so yeah, I'll be posting about the music video and the song release like quite frequently. So yeah, you can keep
Okay,
an eye.
awesome.
Yeah.
And for people watching and listening to this, definitely go to the original video recording of the interview on YouTube, under the Time Skills account, and you're going to see all of Lewis's contact information right down below there. Links to his TikTok, his Instagram page is absolutely excellent. And what I'm wondering is, I can't imagine the excitement of working on the soundtrack for a film. And we touched on this a little bit earlier with John Williams, when you mentioned John Williams, and of course Star Wars and Indiana Jones are
Yeah.
household names for
Yeah.
generations now. And I think a lot of people could say that it's due to the film soundtrack. Now, that being said, um, how important do you feel it is for the soundtrack to a film, such as maybe on a scale of 1 to 10? Is it a 4 where it's not entirely necessary, or is it a 7, 8, or 9, which could possibly make or break the film?
But for me, when it is necessary to have music there, it's a 10.
Okay.
It can really make or break it. It can change the entire film. So I did the entire score for a short film last year called Blame, um, and it's, you know, doing that, I could really see when I was trying ideas and looking at the scenes in front of me, the dynamic completely changed depending on what I would kind of put behind it. You know, so I didn't realize how much until, you don't realize how much until you start doing it, and then you go, wow, this completely changes it. For me it does. So I think it's massive.
Okay. Okay. Now, for anyone young or old, somebody that may reference this and admire your works, and somebody that may have a dream or a goal of doing such as you have and are. Let's say there's somebody out there that wants to be a film uh, music producer, and let's say that they know that they can, or maybe they're not sure. Would there be any best advice that you could give them as someone who has been successful in doing so?
I'd say first off, you need to love it. If you love what you do and you know you would do it regardless of whether it's a job or not, that's important, because there will be challenges that you might question, why am I trying to do this? And it's important you hold on to that reason of, I'm doing this because I love it. The success is the thing of, when I was a kid, I wanted to be able to sing and play. And can I do that as an adult? Yes, that's successful. When I was a kid, I wanted to write songs and entertain people. And have I done that? Yes. So you have to, the success side of it is personal for me. And then obviously other people will determine, the larger scale of success, or they'll link it with money and things like that, and the work that you do. But you really have to be satisfied in yourself. I think if you're going to pursue it, that I'm doing this for me because it's really what I desire to do. And it makes me happy. And it's wonderful that it makes other people happy. But I have to do this because it's serving yourself in a sense, and not in a selfish way, but it's because you know that it's going to bring the best out of you if you can do that. So I think that's probably the most important thing. And then yeah, just to become a good listener, become good at like observing, just situations, learn from as many people as you can. Ask questions, find out about things, whether it's business or tech or musical knowledge, musical skills, things like that. Just be a sponge, and absorb, and always try to be as honest as you can with yourself about why you're doing what you're doing, and keep that in mind as you're going forward.
Okay. Okay. Very good. Now, before we wrap it up here, let me ask you a question about artificial intelligence. We've seen these massive strikes, and the opinions on it seem to range from disbelief that there will ever be consequences of artificial intelligence in arts and performing arts, and it ranges all the way to the other end of, they're going to take our jobs. Okay. Where are you on that scale? And do you believe that artificial intelligence is a viable threat to artists and performing artists?
That's a really interesting question. It's like, it's 2023.
Right. Yeah. Welcome to 2023.
So again, because of martial arts, I try to use like these principles, right? And I can't say whether it will or it won't, but I can say, yes, there's a potential for that to happen. And there's also the potential that it won't. But right now, I can't do anything about that. So if it happens, it happens. Or if there are things if you see it going a certain way, and then there are things if it's going in the way of what people are saying, like in a negative way, that it's going to stop artists from doing that, and things will come up to challenge that, then you can join that and put the right things in place to kind of prevent that from happening. But it's like, if you're worried about, we just can't predict the future, right? You never know.
Right.
Like, we're very fortunate that we can talk like this online, and
Mhm.
in different countries. but you know, and because there was a time we couldn't, but you know, you literally don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. None of us saw COVID coming. You know,
Right.
none of us did. I didn't think I would be, you know, at 33, then I'm going to be, I was going on tour and ready to do all these gigs, and then boom, you know. So you can think you know what's coming, but you just never know. So
Right.
this is why I believe you have to be happy where you are in the present, and you can be aware of the future and or I say the potential future because it hasn't happened yet. But if you focus on it and kind of go into it, you're kind of losing out on the experience you're having now, and you won't get the most out of yourself now and what you could actually do now musically or you know as an artist if you're worried about that.
Okay.
So I think it's definitely something we can keep an eye on. In some ways, yes, AI can be very useful. In some ways, it can be very scary from what we've seen. And again, it's new, isn't it? So
Right.
if people are deciding to put certain laws in to kind of govern it that you know artists are protected and things like that, then it's almost as if where the technology is moving faster than we can actually keep up with in a sense. So you know it's I definitely feel like you know my generation we're right in between analog and digital, and you know we've experienced that crossover, but definitely in the past 20 well yeah 20 25 years technology has sped up like it
Yep.
really has.
Yep. Big
It
time.
seems to be getting faster and faster, so I can understand the fear, but I don't like to indulge in the fear and speculation. It's like I don't know, it might happen but we're not there yet. um and if you do want to do something about it, then I would say then try to do something about it. You know, if for those people that fear it, for those people that are not bothered, okay, and for the people that want to embrace it, they'll embrace it, and then what will be will happen. I know that sounds a
Right.
little bit like you know, but that is at the moment where I'm at with it.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say. Yeah.
Well, it sounds like a really good way of looking at it. And that's a very interesting point of view, and thank you. So before we wrap it up here, I was going to ask you, what is one of the most enjoyable things that you have ever done as an artist or performing artist?
Um, so the two things I love doing is just playing live and then creating music. So like playing to I think the biggest so the first when I went on tour with the artist, this was really I remember this experience because it was the first time I'd ever done anything like that. They called me out and I was backstage just watching the show because I was, you know, I wasn't on board yet with the band, and you know, I was going to be replacing their own guitarist, not replacing, but you know, just filling in for him. And so I traveled out there with them, and I was watching the show from the wings. And then during the song, he's like, "All right, I'm going to call out somebody now," and I said, "Oh, Lewis," and then he brought me out. I wasn't expecting, I didn't know he was going to do it, and then they
Wow.
just had me they had me a guitar, and again it's like 20,000 people like just had me a guitar. I was like,
Here you
yeah,
go.
yeah, and
Whoa,
it's like
what?
in those moments, yeah, in those moments it's like
Oh,
do or die basically. And so
wow.
that was a really fun experience because I saw the crowd and I was like, yeah, let's go, let's do. And that feeling's always stuck with me, and I do enjoy seeing like big crowds, and I even got to support him actually, and that was really cool. Because he didn't have a support act for some shows, so he's like, "Do you want to do it?" And I was like, "Yeah." So that was very that was fun, and yeah, just and then in the studio, there's just been like when I'm creating with other people, especially like the people that I know really well, that we you know have a bond, you know, a friendship, and it's just you get these magic moments where you're just literally on the same vibe, and
Right.
you work on something, you go, yeah, that was like that's what we wanted to do. That was like that's it. You know, when we're feeling like
Okay.
we're searching for it, and now like yeah, we found it, and we're here. That's a
Okay.
really beautiful feeling. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. We ran way over the
Yeah,
hour I
so
asked
yeah,
you for.
yeah.
My apology.
That's,
Let me cram just a couple of last things in here, if it's okay.
okay. Yeah, no
Do
problem.
you do you enjoy movies and music? And have you ever seen Doctor Who by any chance?
I have seen it a bit, but I know you're a fan.
Yeah.
I don't watch. My sister watches it, but well, she used to watch it a
Okay.
lot. I've seen the odd episodes, and I do like it when I watch it.
Right.
But I do have a little link for you for the Doctor Who. So my dad, when he was a kid, he lived, I think, next door to the guy who made the Daleks. So they got to go in his house and
Oh.
see the actual Dalek
Oh,
model.
wow.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Wow.
So
That
that
would be Terry Nation. Yeah.
okay, yeah,
Yeah.
okay,
His
yeah.
name's Terry Nation. Yeah. Invented the
Okay.
Daleks. So,
Yeah, yeah.
wow.
So yeah, he got to see that, which was really cool.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
So
Okay.
that's kind of
So,
like my Doctor Who link. Yeah, so, yeah.
okay. Awesome. Okay. So what are you working on now? Or can you say, is it under wraps or top secret or anything?
Yeah, a little bit. No, so I am.
Okay.
No,
Okay.
it's
No
fun.
spoilers.
No, it's okay. I'm working on. I am working on the music. I'm also. I act as well. So I'm getting involved in like some film stuff as well. And yeah, I'm excited to share things when they're ready.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm producing for another artist as well. I'm actually producing for a couple of artists as well. So yeah,
Okay.
that's really fun. So
Very
yeah,
good.
there's stuff to come, but just
Okay. Nice. And where do you like to be found online?
so I'm most active at the moment on Instagram and TikTok. But I'm
Okay.
also on Twitter. But I have a website as well that you can go to and check out, which is just my name. So it's lewisvanjohnson.com,
Yep.
www.lewisvanjohnson.com.
Yep. It
I
is
have, yeah.
excellent website.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you. Thank you. Yeah, you can. I have to thank my wife for that one. She sorted me out.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, and I guess like yeah, and obviously I've got stuff on Spotify and yeah,
Right.
so
Yeah.
I'm there. I'm online.
Okay.
I'm somewhere
Awesome.
out there.
Okay. Was there anything that I didn't ask you today that you wish I would have?
No, you've asked like some great questions. Thank you for
Okay.
having.
Well, thank you. Thank
Uh,
you.
thank you.
And
Appreciate it.
it's an absolute honor to have had a chance to speak with you and do an interview with you. And I want to thank Helen Sterling Lane for introducing me to Lowell Hammond and Lowell Hammond for introducing me to you.
Thank you,
Uh,
Helen. Thank you, Law.
yeah, thank you, Helen, and thank you, Lowell.
Okay.
And it's an absolute pleasure and honor to be able to do this with you, Lewis. And
Thank
for
you.
anyone who has enjoyed or learned something from this, go to the original interview on YouTube. Look at the links below. Check out Lewis's work. Listen to his music. Look at what he's done. Go to his website. Go to his Instagram and check him out because chances are really good that you may find something that you will love.
Thank you.
So,
Thank
okay.
you. I appreciate that.
Lewis,
It's been
yeah,
lovely to
yeah,
meet
and
you. Thank you.
thank you so much. This was really enjoyable,
Oh,
and
thank you.
I appreciate it. And I guess that'll be it for now.
Yeah.
And have a nice evening.
Yes, you too. Have a lovely day.
Okay,
See you later.
okay, okay. Take care. Bye bye.
Bye. Bye.